This video is brought to you by
Auckland Photographer's Clothing.
In this lesson I will teach you how the manual focus works and how easy it is to use the manual focus in your camera. And the more you learn how to use the manual focus, the more often you will actually use it and find it as well useful, because it is the most accurate way to focus, especially when it's dark, for example, a dark light situation, or you want to do macro photography maybe. So when you really have to control the focus, then you would use manual focus. And for myself, I use manual focus mostly in landscape photography. 99.9999% of all my landscape photos are with manual focus, because you need it for ND filters, for longer exposures, and in a lot of situations actually in landscape photography. That's why I use it, and I will teach you 3 ways now how you can very easily use your manual focus. The first thing you will have to do to use your manual focus is, of course, to turn it on. So we go on FN here, on the FN button, or Q on a Canon camera, or I with the Nikon camera, and I go on the autofocus, AF, AFA, AFS, AFC mode, and then all the way to the bottom, MF. This means manual focus. With some lenses you have to turn it on here on the side of the lens, so just push it on MF. When you now turn here on the front, this is the focus with most lenses. Sometimes some lenses have the focus here on the back as well, but usually it's the front part here. And even with some lenses, it's all the way in the front here. So you have to actually turn the lens in the front, or when you have a lens hood on the lens hood. But yeah, with my lens here, I just have to turn here. And now the focus wanders from back to front, front to back, wherever I want to focus on. And you can go now in the menu and turn something annoying off with Sony cameras. If you have a Sony camera, go in the menu and go on MF Assist. And what it does, when you turn that thing here on the front, your focus wheel, then it always zooms in, always. And it's so annoying because it always zooms on one specific point, and usually it's not that point that you want to focus. So turn that off, and then you will see it's like with every other camera brand. You just focus and you don't zoom in. When you want to zoom in, you can do that with the focus magnifier, and I will show you in just a second how that works, but we don't want it on auto to be zoomed in all the time when I just hit it a little bit here in the front. And when I now turn it, you see something here on the bottom with this camera. With some other cameras you can also see it. With some other cameras you see it only on the lens, and with some other cameras again you don't see it at all. But when you have it, it's a great thing to have. It's called the scale, the focus scale. With some old cameras, like my 10-year-old camera, I don't have it in the camera, but here on the lens in an actual scale, no digital scale, but an actual scale, and there you have distances. And the distances you have in feet and in meters. I'm not that familiar with feet scale, but when you are from the US, you are. Here in my case, it's now in meters. So it's very simple to understand. And when you used film, and when you maybe tried out for yourself film photography with a very old camera, you may be focused only by scale, by only guessing, estimating what distance you focus on. And this is actually how you can use your manual focus. So you estimate now, well, it's maybe half a meter away, so I focus on half a meter. Well, I want to focus on my camera guy here that is filming. He's maybe 1.5 meters away, so I focus on 1.5 meters here. And the scale is telling you exactly this. It's telling you on what distance you are focusing. And in landscape photography, there's a very simple trick, and that's why I usually use the manual focus. I focus until infinity. And what that means, I will tell you in just a second. I turn here with the Sony camera. It's now focused on 6 meters, 7 meters, 10 meters, blah, 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 until the numbers end and the line 8, the infinity sign is visible. And with Sony cameras, this is the point where you don't turn any further. Numbers until infinity. You can turn more, and it still says it's infinity, but it's not. I can tell you from my experience, because then it's blurry again. So go on the first infinity sign you see after the numbers when you have a Sony camera. And then there's some special things like with some Canon lenses, you have to go line on your lens here in the front. With some cameras, you can go in the middle of the lying 8 when you have a scale on the lens. But you have to find out with your own system, with your own camera lens, in the exercise later, how it works for you. And it's only one way you can use. In landscape photography, this is the way I usually focus. And for example, when I do an advanced technique like focus stacking, I would do exactly the same. I would go on a close distance, maybe 1.5, then on 1 meter, and then on infinity, for example, with a wide angle lens. So that's one way. Go with a scale. For stars maybe, this is very interesting because stars usually are also focused on infinity.
You want to take photos in pouring rain or bitter cold? Easy for me, because of the best jacket system for outdoor photographers. My name is Benjamin Jaworskyj, professional photographer for over 12 years. And this is my signature edition of the Hawkland 7-in-1 Parker Pro jacket set for photographers. When I'm outdoors, I want to focus on what's truly important. I want to feel comfortable, warm, dry, and always be ready to take the photo I have in mind, no matter how bad the weather. One set, 3 jacket layers you can wear in 7 ways, made for professional use. Check it out for your adventures, now on sale. Discontinued and off-season items up to 60% off at www.hawkland.us.
Hawkland. Photographer's clothing.
Okay, the second option is the focus peaking. And focus peaking I use a lot of times for portrait. For wildlife I used it a lot when I started with mirrorless cameras, like with the first Sony A7R or 7 without any number or letter next to it. I used focus peaking a lot because I adapted my old lenses from Canon to the Sony system. Today it's much more modern and so on. You can use focus peaking still when you have a manual lens, and I show you how it works. It's very cool and very simple, and also for filming you can use it a lot. So I just go in the menu, go to peaking settings, and then go on peaking display, on, because I want it to be displayed. Then I go to peaking level. Peaking level should be high. I don't want it to be low. And then I can choose the peaking color. With some older cameras, you can only choose between red, yellow, and white. Then I would go for yellow. And with more modern cameras, you can also choose blue, depending on what brand, of course, you use. You can maybe also choose blue, and that's what I would choose. Because usually in portrait photography or wildlife photography, blue is not that common, and also yellow is not that common. But red, lips are for example red, sometimes some other stuff is red, is more common, and white is the worst thing to use for focus peaking actually, in my opinion, because white is a lot. You have white in the eyes, you have white on the T's, you have maybe white somewhere else in the shot you want to photograph, and it's very difficult to see a difference in color white. That's why I choose blue. Okay. It's now set, and you can now unfortunately only see it with our screen recorded here from the back and not the actual screen recording like we have in the whole course, because Sony still in that year has not made it possible to capture this focus peaking signal. Don't ask me, also the grid is not possible, but yeah, we have to film it now from the back. But you see all those blue little ants, I call it, walking around. Blue little ants walking around, and they walk the strongest where the focus is. It's that easy, that simple. That's why I love focus peaking for focusing. Because when you want to focus on the eyes, you only have to take care that a lot of ants, blue ants in this case, walk in the eye. And when there are not that many ants, then it's not totally in focus. So everywhere where the focus is, and it's the easiest with an open aperture lens, because then you don't have that much depth of field, and only a small area where a lot of those blue ants are walking around, and then this area is in focus. For example, here in this case, I'm super far away now, even here from my display, and still see, oh, here's the focus, photo. Oh, now I want to focus all the way in the front, no problem, here's the focus. And it's so accurate, look at this, it's so accurate. I can even say, I don't want the back leaves of the front in focus, I want the front leaves in the focus, when the minimum focus distance is put in consideration here as well. But yeah, it's so super accurate, and that's why I love it for macro photography, for also focus stacking, for portrait photography I use it a lot. Sometimes I use the autofocus as well, but this is always 100% because you can control it, but you have of course to practice it. But autofocus can make mistakes. It gets better and better, but still this is the most accurate way. All right, those were 2 options. Now we come to option number 3. Option number 3 is the focus magnifier. And with some cameras and some brands, it's preset on some button, you just have to look for it. Here with this camera, it's not that little magnifier next to AEL. This has something to do with the preview, to zoom in when you look at your images you just took. With Canon, it's the same, then it's a blue magnifier, and this has something to do also with the preview of the images that you just took. But you can activate another magnifier. And with the Sony camera here, I have to program it first. I show you how this works. Go on menu, then go on custom keys, and I choose the custom key for photo settings, and then I choose the key I want to have it on. In my case, I want it here on the front key. Now it's focus mode, and I don't care about focus mode. I want there the focus magnifier, and I go all the way through until I find the focus magnifier. There it is. Now I have the focus magnifier here on this button. I now press it, and ta-da, there is that little square. And this little square I can move around now here in the image. Sometimes it even works with touch. And when I now want to have it actually magnified, then I press this button again. It zooms in, but it's only digital. It's not like I'm actually zooming the image, it's only magnified. That's why it's called magnifier. And now I can just pull the focus and see zoomed in, magnified, the details, where exactly by millimeter I want the focus to be. There it is, and boom, take the photo. That simple it is to use the magnifier. So those are 3 very simple ways to use the manual focus, and I think there's no more excuse to not use the manual focus, because it's actually that simple. And you can imagine what your exercise for today is, to try out those 3 manual focus techniques and find out for yourself what you like the most. And then maybe try it out with stars or with some objects you want to focus, because it's actually quite simple and also a lot of fun, I find. I find manual focus is actually the most fun about photography. Make the settings and then focus manually. I wish you a lot of fun, try it out, and tell me what is your favorite manual focus technique.
This video from my beginner's course Simply Learn Photography from 2023 is part of my photography legacy. Over a period of 5 years, I will publish my courses from learnfromben.com for free and with ads here on YouTube. So everyone can benefit from my knowledge regardless of budget. So subscribe now to the channel and spread the word. And do you want all 9 courses from the last 10 years immediately bundled together and without advertisement at a super affordable price? Then go now to learnfromben.com and get the XXL Bundle as an instant download or stream via the website at www.learnfromben.com. More than 22 hours of the finest learning content on photography, filming and image editing in all levels of skill. Link is in the description and in the comments below. And also check out the sales section with my signature tripods and D-filters and books. Everything is on sale up to 60% off, as long as stocks last. Thank you for your support. Videos from the courses are published every Friday at 5:30 p.m. German time. My name is Benjamin Jaworskyj and I wish you all some really good photos.